Hello, my name is Myra. Welcome back to another video. So today I am here in a lounge set. I have my hot coffee and my cute little bell mug, and I just wanted to do the 2024 end of the year book tag. This is honestly one of my favorite videos to watch. I love watching other people's answers to these questions, and there's a variety of book tags going around towards the end of the year, but I am doing the one that Larry Reads actually did. I will leave the link to her video and the questions down below. Let's go ahead and start with the first question. So the first question is most disappointing book of the year. For this one, I am basically taking the question as like books that I was really looking forward to that just kind of fell flat for me and didn't like, these were books that I thought were going to be 5 stars and they just weren't. So the first one would be The Striker by Anna Huang. So The Striker is her first soccer romance or like sports romance, and I was really excited. I've read the Twisted series, I've read the Kings of Sin series, and if you're curious, my favorites on those two are The Twisted Games and King of Greed. Those two, top tier. And this one being a soccer romance, I play soccer, I love sports, so the fact that she was gonna do sports romance, I was really excited. However, this book just didn't meet what I thought it was gonna meet. It was a little bit too long. Actually, not a little bit. I feel like it could have at least been cut down like 150 pages because I think this was like a 500 and something page book. And personally, I don't think it had to be that long. It kind of felt like a lot of the story, there was a lot going on, but really not a lot going on. Like there was a lot of things being described as happening, but nothing was really moving forward. The characters themselves, I didn't feel like they fully developed. The romance was just okay. So that was definitely one of the more disappointing books, only because I was so excited for it. The second book though that I would have to say for that one would be Reckless by Lauren Roberts. I read Powerless. I loved it. I was hooked. I couldn't wait to see what was next. I then read Powerful just because I'm a masochist and apparently I love pain. But then with this one, I was excited for it. I picked it up. I immediately read it as soon as I got it, as soon as the book came out. And not a lot happened. Like there was some character development in it, but as far as like the story moving along, there really wasn't much going on, if that makes sense. And so I was kind of like, okay, cool, but also like nothing really feels like it's happening. Like I said, the characters were developing, they were growing, but I feel like everything just kind of happened right at the beginning, and then the whole middle of the book towards the end is kind of like, okay. And then things pick up again at the end, and then that's where it ends to then go into the last and third book, which I will still be reading, but this one just didn't hit the same as Powerful, or the same as Powerless. The second question is, what was an underdog book? Now this book was an underdog simply because I had never read anything by this author, and I only found out about this book actually because my friend had pre-ordered a special edition, but my friend had also not read this book. And so when we went, we met the author and my friend picked up the special edition. I was like, you know what, I'll go ahead and read it too. And oh my gosh, it blew my mind. And that is Trick by Natalia Jaster. This is actually like a special edition that she did. It is so beautiful. It is absolutely gorgeous. And what I didn't know about this book is that this is actually the second time that she publishes this book. Like this is a republished version. In this book, you have just, it's a slow burn romance, but also you have this hero who has his own priorities and things that he cares for, and there's a lot more to him than meets the eye, because you see him and he is this guy that is very attractive. He is very charismatic. That's actually part of his job as the court jester, and he gets a lot of pull from both men and women. And she is this princess from the Autumn Court, and the Autumn Court is a lot more serious and reserved, and she kind of doesn't like him because she's so like attracted and intrigued by him, but she doesn't just want to be one of the many. And so it's this whole like experience of both of them kind of finding out things about themselves, getting together, forming a bond that they didn't think they were going to form. And it was just incredible. The angst in this book and the, like I said, the slow burn, certain chapters are just like I felt like I was on my toes when I was reading this book. So this was literally an unexpected surprise in the best way. What was an overhyped book you read? I would definitely say that probably the one that was the most talked about is this book right here, Quicksilver, and it is absolutely incredible. This is one of my favorite books of the year. I loved it. I didn't physically read it. I actually listened to the audiobook, and I would highly, highly recommend it, especially because this is a pretty big book. Listen to the audiobook. The narrators did a fantastic job. I was laughing while I was listening to this book. I wanted to do nothing else but listen to this book. And now that the physical copies are finally out, I can't wait to go through here and just annotate the crap out of this book. And also, it's really awesome because Netflix will be picking up this book, and I think they're making either a movie or a series. I am so scared. Okay, scared because I'm like, don't ruin it. Do not ruin it. But also so excited to see how they do this. I love this book. Whenever the rest of the books in the series come out, I will be there. I will be there. I will want no one to bother me. This book deserves it all. I do have one other book in that same category, and that would be Lights Out by Navisa Allen. This was another book that a lot of people were talking about. I was seeing it all over my feed. This is a special edition by I think it's probably Smut. Yes, the book box, and I had to get my hands on this because I love this. This is like kind of like more of like a retro cover, and then even the back too. I don't know. I loved it. I also listened to this book, and the audio was hilarious. This is a dark romance book. It's like a dark romantic, like dark rom-com. I think that's what it was described as, and it is so funny. There's definitely triggers, like check your triggers and everything with any of these books, honestly. Check your triggers, but I really liked it. She is a trauma nurse, and he is basically a masked man on TikTok, and she has like these fantasies of this guy, and she goes through his profile, loves watching his videos, obviously doesn't know who he is, and has no idea that he is actually a lot closer to her than she thinks. And he one day stumbles upon some more information about her, and he is basically a stalker, her stalker. But he's so thoughtful and stuff, which I know sounds so problematic. Okay, please don't come and stalk me if you're some weirdo. But yes, this was such a great book, such a great listen, and I highly, highly recommend it. Next one, and this one was really hard, is your favorite book couples of the year. Or you could do one book couple, and I actually have quite a few. I would definitely say that on there are Johnny and Shannon from Binding 13. If you have not read the Boys of Tommen series by Chloe Walsh, I highly, highly recommend it. These are kids, or you could say kids, yeah, in high school, but this is in Ireland back in 2006. So it's high school from like back in the day. Before, there is no social media, there's only cell phones, but there is a lot of trauma and abuse that goes on in these books. So definitely go in looking at the trigger warnings. But this is so like, the romance, the couple, the hardships, the things that these two teenagers really are overcoming is just insane. And I really, really love the whole series, but definitely these two are one of my favorite book couples. I love Joey. Joey is Shannon's brother. Him and Iofi, I think that's how you say it, Iofi or Ify. I think you say Aoife. Aoife, I think that's how you say her name. Because they're all in Ireland, like I said. They are such a beautiful couple as well. But yes, this is a special edition cover, so this is not the regular cover, but I absolutely love these two. I love this series, and I would highly recommend it. Just look at your triggers. Another favorite book couple would definitely have to be Danny and Nick from Living Legend. This is also a special edition from Ali Shante, and oh my gosh, this book is crazy. This book, she is a demon and he is an angel. I love that because usually the woman or like the female FMC, she's usually the angel, he's the bad one. No, and this one, it's opposite. And she, oh my God, these two like hate each other, but she also loves flirting with him just to get under his skin because he's obviously like, ew, you're a demon, you know, type of thing. So good. And it's pretty high stakes. There's a lot of mystery that goes on. There's a lot of action, and I really, really loved it. Highly, highly recommend it. There is another book that's out, and then there's a third book coming out in 2025. So I still have to read the second book, but I highly recommend it if you haven't picked this up. I totally skipped a question and I just noticed, but it was a book that surprised you, and that would definitely have to be Pen Pal by JT Geisinger. I actually got to meet her earlier this year, and that was a top tier memory for 2024. This book was absolutely amazing. It is a short book. I listened to the audiobook, which I highly recommend it. It's slightly creepy, so if you kind of want to wait for like a creepy mood, I would like definitely. I can't even talk. That's how excited I am about this book. But I would definitely recommend it. This was so, so great. And I know that there's mixed reviews about this book, but just the plot twist is like, whoa. Like, I don't know. I loved it. I sucked it all up. It made me tear up a little bit. And but yeah, it's such a good book. Go in blind if you can. I loved it. I loved it. It surprised the hell out of me in the best way. Favorite main characters of the year. Honestly, this kind of goes with like the favorite like book couples, but to try to mention a different one, I would definitely have to say Cash in Jessica Patterson's book. This is a small town cowboy romance book. He is a walking green flag of a man, and Molly is this like badass business owner. She's following her dreams. She has her own struggles. She has daddy issues and things that she went through that she never really got to resolve, and just these two characters are absolutely amazing. I really love that book. Another one I have written down here would definitely be the characters in When He Desires by Gabrielle Sands. Gabrielle Sands, top tier author for me. Everything that she will put out, I will be reading. Her mafia books are absolutely incredible, and Nero and Blake were no different. So definitely recommend Gabrielle Sands, When He Desires. Top tier. Besides like any of my favorite books, really, to not kind of sound repetitive, those are some of my favorite characters. Favorite author you discovered this year? Actually, this year I discovered a lot of new authors, which I really like. I'm kind of happy. Like, I'm giving myself a pat on the back because I'm like, good job, Myra. It's definitely a goal going into 2025 to continue that trend and definitely, you know, include more like diverse authors for me. But some honorable mentions besides the ones that I've already mentioned is definitely Tia Williams. I listened to A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. This book was amazing. It was like her writing style. I could feel the magic. There is a magical element in this book, and I could feel it while listening to it. I still remember what I was doing. Like, I was listening to the book. I was kind of trying to like clean my closet and like fold my clothes, and I'm doing all these things, and I'm just like, I would kind of stop in some points because I'm like, wow, this is like so incredible. And one, of course, would have to be Callie Hart, Quicksilver. I loved it. But again, I'm trying not to be repetitive, so I'm gonna leave that one out. But another one that I want to mention is Skeletons of Society by Marie Maravilla. So in this one, you have a Gunner who is in a motorcycle club, and he is kind of like pretty up there in the motorcycle club. And he schedules a meeting with Ryan, who basically handles all the weapon trade for the cartel. And he goes in to meet Ryan, and it turns out that Ryan is a woman, a very badass Latina woman, and this was so good. These two were so cool, so badass. She is like one of my favorite FMCs of the year for sure. And this was just such a good, like, it was a quick read. There's going to be more books here. She also has a really close friendship with another woman who I think is the second book is going to be about her, and she's another baddie, and I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm so glad I discovered Marie Maravilla this year. I had seen some of her like TikTok videos and stuff, and I'm like, dude, just by the way that you're describing your book, like, I want to read it now. So yeah, definitely recommend it if you love cartel romance or like mafia vibes, motorcycle club romance. Pick it up. The next question is author that didn't work out for you this year. I don't really know that there's like one particular author that didn't work for me. There was like a few books that I read that were, you know, like a debut novel and stuff like that, and some of those books were kind of like, you know, okay. But also it's like, this is a debut novel, like this is the author's like first published work, so I feel like they only have like up to go from there, you know. So I'm kind of gonna skip this question, but this is a question that's on there. What is the happiest book you read this year? Happiest book, I don't know that I really read like a super happy book, because I also don't really think that I would really enjoy that. I think most of them would probably be like some of like the holiday romance books, that those are a little bit more like happy-go-lucky type books. What was the saddest book you read this year? Oh my god. Okay, there was a few books that like I teared up here and there. I'm not really a big crier. I'm already gonna say that. Like, for me to cry, it's pretty rare. Like, there's certain things that will automatically make me cry. Anything that has to do with like dogs and stuff like that, I'll definitely cry. But You've Reached Sam had me sobbing like a baby. This book, I read it back in January, and I should have known I was going to cry. This is literally a book about a girl, and she is in high school. She's a senior in high school, and her boyfriend passes away because of a horrible car accident. He passes away, and that's how the book starts off. Like, this is not a spoiler. That is literally on the back of the book. This is what the book is about. But the whole magical element in this book is the fact that she is grieving her boyfriend, but she is able to talk to him on the phone. But he has to be the one calling her and she has to pick up the calls, because if she doesn't pick up the calls, they don't know if they would be able to talk to each other again. And so it just kind of goes through, you know, kind of her, what she's going through, her grief, and how she's dealing with her grief, and also him having to now deal with the fact that like he's dead, like he's not alive anymore. These goals, these dreams, these hopes that he had, not only with her but for himself, for his life, are gone. And you see how his death has affected, you know, this group of friends, how it's affected her. And oh, I was sobbing like a baby. My boyfriend was just like, oh my, and I just kept crying and crying and crying, because it was so realistic and so real and raw. And I don't want to keep talking about it because I don't want to cry, but that was the saddest book that I read this year. If you need a good cry, because I feel like sometimes we need it. Sometimes like our chest just feels tight, or maybe it's just me. Like your chest just feels tight and you're like, I need a good cry. Like I need a release. This is that book for you. But be warned, it will make you sob like a baby. Most frustrating book you read this year? I mean, again, I think it goes again with like the disappointment books of the year, where, you know, with The Striker and again Reckless, it's like you're kind of waiting for more, you want more to happen, and you're like why not? Like why is there not more going on? But also that same way, I feel like all the slow burn books too, like I listened to All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata, and I know that she's a slow burn queen, but it's just like, come on, but it's like in the best way, you know, it's frustrating in the best way. So I don't know, I say that could apply to like slow burn books that I've read, because I'm also kind of impatient, or also my most disappointing books of the year. I don't know. Best book adaptation of the year. There's a few movies that came out and I didn't even know that there was books for them. And The Crawdads Sing, I watched the movie, tripped me out. I was like, plot twist, but I haven't read the book. And I know that the book is like everywhere. I've seen it everywhere, but I haven't read it. But I personally, I don't know how well the adaptation is between the book and the movie, but the movie was great. I also watched that one movie with Anne Hathaway, like the Coachella one, and she meets that one guy that plays like the prince in that movie with Camila Cabello. I forgot his name, but he's a good actor. I think his name's like Nicholas something. I might be totally off. I know that there's a movie or a book for that. I love the movie. Haven't read the book, so I don't know how good of an adaptation it is. So yeah, I don't think that I'm really equipped to like answer this question, so I'm just gonna skip it. Favorite covers of the year, there are so many. I mean, I have just some of the like special editions here, but like I said, like this, just totally loved. This cover of Lights Out, just I loved it. I feel like it's kind of like old school, very graphic novel. I loved it, and also she's so pretty. Pen pal, I mean, I like this cover for other reasons, but yeah. Living Legends, again, this is like a beautiful cover. There's also more things going on in the back for the other two that are part of this friend group. Again, you know, Skeletons of Society. I would definitely say, oh, this one too, I picked it up at Steamy Lit, King of Greed. It's so beautiful. It has like sprayed edges too. And then this one here, it says like, you're it for me. I feel like I have a few other special editions. Oops. Those are just some of them. I actually got a few more special edition books only because I finally got off the like wait list for some of my book cover wait list that I was in. Some of them being from like Fairy Loot, Mystic Book Box. I got off the wait list, so I got quite a few special editions. So I think I might make a separate video when I finally arrange my little library. Hint, hint. A book you haven't stopped thinking about. I go through phases where I think about different books. For example, when I think about like small town romance book, like if I see my cowboy boots that I have at home or like anything cowboy related, I immediately think about Cash from Jessica Peterson or Patterson. Patterson. Oh my God, I'm blanking out. But I definitely think about Cash by Jessica Patterson or now Wyatt, because I just finished Wyatt yesterday, and these two brothers, and he's a grumpy hot cowboy. What is there not to like about that, you know? And then when I think about like mafia that I can't stop thinking about, I think about Gabrielle Sands, because again, Nero, absolutely incredible. And then when I think about like sports romance, I don't really know actually that I really read like a really good sports romance this year that stayed with me in my head. So maybe not this year for sports romance. When I think about fantasy, I mean, I haven't been able to stop thinking about this book, but also at the same time, I go through phases where I just simply cannot stop thinking about Trick also. So, I mean, more of like fantastical type elements. I mean, these two books, When I'm thinking about like my billionaires, I think about this book, and I don't even really remember if I read this book this year. This might have been last year, but it's right here. But then also at times, like I'll think about this because I'm just like, what a trip. And I've told so many people about this, and the people that don't read, and they're like, dude, they should make a movie. And I'm like, yes, they should. It's so good. I also, again, I go through phases because I'm like, I did not know that I would be thinking about masked men like that. So anyway, I go through phases. So I don't know. I have a lot of books and a lot of things that go up on here. So yeah. Unpopular book that you loved. I don't know that there is an unpopular book that I loved because I feel like these are kind of pretty mainstream. Let's see, but I would definitely say that maybe like these two are maybe books that I feel like more people should talk about these books because these books are really, really good. So I would think out of all the books here, these are probably two that have not been talked about enough but should be, just because they were absolutely incredible. Book that you thought you'd love but didn't. There was a book that I DNF'd. This was honestly one of my only DNFs, and it's I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter. It's like, it has awards. I think America Ferrera is about to do like a movie. I don't know if she's gonna be in the production company. I'm not really sure. And it was just, I couldn't get through it. I really was trying. I was listening to the audiobook too, so you can't even say it was like the writing, but I couldn't stand her. And I tried looking through the reviews because I'm like, maybe if I was like, if I got past a certain, you know, part of the book, but she was just so insufferable, so judgmental. And I'm just like, I know that the book is I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, but dude, as a Mexican, like, this is offensive. Like, you're horrible. And I understand that she's a teenager, okay? Because as a teenager, I was probably a little bit of a jerk. But I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. I just, it wasn't working for me. I thought I was gonna love it. I'm like, dude, this book is probably gonna blow my socks off and make me like proud to be Mexican. I don't know what I really thought it was gonna be about, but it just, DNF. Hardcore DNF. Book with the most unique concept you've read this year. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the books that I read had a lot of really unique things on there. I don't know that I really read one that was like super, super unique. And I feel like it's probably really hard when you read a lot of books or where you've read a lot more books. I think if I was like 2 years ago when I first started reading again as an adult, it would have been a little bit different. But I mean, I would say this one definitely has, like, all of them have different elements, I feel. I don't know that I really have like a book that I'm like, this was super, super unique. Yeah, I don't know that I do. Book you read this year that you would reread. Pretty much all the ones that I mentioned here, I would reread them in a heartbeat. Goodreads 2024 reading goal reflection and a reading goal for 2025. So for Goodreads 2024, I chose, I think, 80 books as my goal, and I am so far, I think, 110 or so books. So I met the goal. For me, it wasn't really a big deal. I was like, I'm trying to read for fun. As far as 2025 goes, I think I'll just make my goal 100 books. I feel like that's pretty doable for me just because of the pace in which I read at. I feel like 100 books is more than fine. So yeah, that's pretty much like reading goal as far as quantities go. And the other really big goal would be definitely to diversify the authors that I read, even more than I have begun to. Book you wish you got to this year. There's a lot of books that I wish I would have gotten to this year. I wanted to finish Throne of Glass. That's not gonna happen. There's only a few more days left in the year. I'm not gonna finish. I wanted to read through the Crescent City books. Haven't done it. There's a lot of books that I wanted to complete the series. I haven't done it. There's my physical TBR has grown a lot more, again, in part heavily due to me getting out of a lot of subscription wait lists. But yeah, there's a lot. There's too many to mention. Honestly, I feel like my TBR just grows by the day. So yeah. What will you prioritize in your 2025 reading year? Like I said, I want to really diversify the authors that I read, and the types of books that I read. So I read a lot of romance. I love romance. I also do like reading self-help books, like just for me, but I definitely want to start reading more like thriller books and just other types of books that I normally wouldn't pick up. So that's definitely one of the biggest thing for me. Number wise, I don't really care, you know, numbers. I feel like it's fine, come and go, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So Again, I'm going to go ahead and leave the video linked below for Larry and the questions also in case you're curious. But thanks so much for sticking around. Let me know if you've read any of these books, if you had similar thoughts to me, or if you disagree with me, that's fine. Or also if you will be picking up some of these books, definitely let me know which ones and why. Like, what intrigued you about them to want to pick them up yourselves. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.